Welcome to the Dark Horse Paranormal Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Carr.
And I am Kristen Johnson.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
Hope you guys are doing great. And what a good show tonight with our friends Reggie and Greg.
Yep.
They were awesome. Some great ITC stuff going on there. And we had a big week. We also launched a new show with our friends Anne-Marie Young and Lynn Monet, which was awesome. It's called Synchronicity, Adding Pieces to the Puzzle. It's on Tuesday nights when on whatever platform you're watching now, and maybe some others. We'll see. I don't know. That really took off like a rocket. The gals are great. It was an awesome show. And we're looking forward to next Tuesday, 8 o'clock Eastern, if you're in a different time zone.
Anne-Marie Young, metal music and staging girl. I watched you laugh.
That's it.
I put my comment up. So I just want to let you guys know, this new computer broke down. Can't touch things. It's doing the same thing the older one is. I am not texting. I am looking at your comments. Just using the phone tonight.
Yeah, it's been dying a slow death for the last couple of weeks, and it's really getting there. What's going on, Mr. Greg Koss? Great show tonight, buddy.
Hello, Greg.
You guys sounded awesome. See, Echo Leaf, what's going on? Thank you for sticking around, pal. And I know Jack is out there as well. Mr. Jack Kilowatt.
Yes.
You guys are
Jack
awesome.
And Echo.
And Greg says, hello to the Huffs. It's the Horns.
It's like
The Horns. Spell check got you. Spell check got you. No,
Always.
no Steve Huff on here.
No. Thank you.
Good evening. Hey, Carol. How's it going?
Hi, Carol.
Hey, it's Anne-Marie Young. Hey, you rock star. What is going on? Hope you're having a good night. There's somebody we were just talking to. Kim Horn. Hello.
Hi, Kim Horn.
I think we're going to talk to you in just a moment.
Yes. Ring.
Yes.
Horn.
Joe Fox.
Guys.
Love the Black Sabbath shirt. Yeah, buddy. This is Never Say Die. Thank you for picking up on that. Very underrated album by probably my all-time favorite band, the Black Sabbath. All right. Well, too much ado. A lot of comments. Hey, Linda Judd.
Hi, Linda.
Greg Costas blew that one. Yeah. all good, Greg. We know what you meant.
Yep, we speak your language.
We'll bring on our guests. They've been a paranormal team, a paranormal couple.
Yes.
Which we're really excited about because that's what we do. And we think there's power in that. We don't know why, but it seems to work. Chemistry. And they've been together doing paranormal. They've been together longer, but they've been doing paranormal since 2015, which I'll put that around 8 years. As Horn Paranormal, you can see at the bottom of the screen their ticker. You can find them on Facebook. And if you're listening to this and not watching, their website is www.facebook.com/Who's Afraid of the Dark, which is a really cool name.
Yeah, it is.
So let's bring them right on.
I am.
Hello, Kim and
Welcome.
Scott. And Chucky.
Let's see if I can get him
to
to
Dark Horse
words things.
Thank you. He's adopted, by the way, Chucky. He's not our real kid.
I think he might be, though, because Kim, you put a little bit of yourself into him because you made him.
Yeah, and all your energy goes into it, and it becomes sort of like an egregore, and it might take on a life of its own in the collective unconscious.
Yeah, I was thinking that earlier.
You know what? You're probably right. Because I don't know how many pieces of hair I've shed when I crochet. You're right. I'm making my own little voodoo doll.
That's right.
It's funny. And I know he's like a REM pod. He's got a REM circuitry in him, and
he does
works that way.
So cool.
Yep, in his hands.
Really neat because I think what you're going to end up there with is a haunted object, and he'll end up in a haunted museum or something at some point. Hopefully. Now, do you do anything when you guys take him out to make sure he doesn't take anything home with him?
Yes. Go ahead, Scott. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he gets protected just the same way we do. So.
Yeah. Can you hear us? Did we lose you?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, sorry.
He gets protected, you were saying?
Yeah. Usually when we go in, we do our protection stuff. And if there's anybody going with us, we say before you can go in, you need to protect up too. And you can either do it with us, or if you have your own spiel, that's fine. But you need to go in and protect, because I don't want to be responsible for anything. And so then when we come out, especially, and sometimes we haven't done this and we've actually brought stuff home. We clear everything, including all our equipment. So
yeah, we've been a little lax at the last couple investigations, and we've actually had to cleanse the house here recently.
One of those, we understand.
Now, how did that roll? It's not really where I wanted to start, but let's just go with it. Go with the flow.
Sure. Well,
you felt like you might have taken something home, some kind of attachment.
Well, with me, I do all my stuff internally. I visualize it and say it in my mind.
Sure.
We went to last summer or late fall, I guess. We went to Bannock, Montana, ghost town.
I'm going to interrupt right here, though. I have to tell you, Scott's a skeptic. So to get him to do this stuff, I've always wondered how much he really believes in it. So I think he worked into Bannock being with that skeptic attitude because it was broad daylight.
I'll touch on that real quick. She's the spiritual one, and I have to see it to believe it. And that's why I like the equipment and everything else to validate,
Sure.
So I tried to get like an overnight investigation at Bannock, and they don't do that. They wouldn't let us do it. But they said you can come in and do whatever you want, during the park's hours till dusk. So we went there, and it was pretty quiet. We had the REM pod things go off a little bit, and we had went into the hotel like right away. And I had chest pains like immediately when we walked in, and it went away. And then the chest pains came back for, I don't know, 5-10 seconds, and it was gone. And then we spent a couple hours there, didn't think much of it. And we got on the road because we were headed out to Oregon to an event. And that night in the hotel room, we were sleeping, and I'd gotten the computer out to download all of our files and everything off our equipment. And I was hearing a tapping, like 2-3 taps on the computer in the corner of the room on the desk. And then we'd hear footsteps walk to the foot of the bed, like somebody was pacing. And it did that about, I don't know, 2-3 times. You'd hear 2 or 3 taps, and then you'd hear the footsteps. Well, like the third time, I think it was, I sat up in bed kind of, because I'm 3/4 awake now, like what the heck's going on? And I heard the tap, I heard the footsteps, and something got in my face and just went, ha! Literally like it was a scream, like a scream, but it really wasn't a scream. It was like, it's like I'm right here type of thing to get your attention. And I just I couldn't believe it. It scared the living crap out of me. It really did.
When you say something, did you see anything, or was it just you heard the audio like somebody was right in your face?
You could feel it.
Yeah, the room was dark. I didn't feel breath or anything, but I heard it right in front of my face. And it really kind of shook me up. And then, of course, the next morning we kind of talked about it, and before we left and got in our car, we went out and did the sage and smudged and all that stuff. And we didn't want it to get in the car with us or in, Chucky.
Yeah, he was there.
So yeah, and we didn't have a problem about that since, but
well, that's good. So since you did the saging and the smudging, it kind of did go away.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got a combination of different things I use when I do my cleansing, depending on what it is. So that time I actually had it was a bunch of different stuff. It just wasn't just sage, because I wasn't sure what it was that came in there. We had heard it. I'd heard it before he did, but I do a lot of ignoring it and not giving it attention because I have that psychic ear. So when we started hearing the tapping, I was like, is that the refrigerator? And we tried to debunk it.
Debunk.
Yeah, that's the refrigerator ticking, And so we went through it, and then we ignored it. And so then it got louder, like, quit ignoring me. And then we heard the footsteps. So it's like, crap. And I said, mentally, you need to go away, and just went ahead and went to sleep, thinking that he wouldn't be affected by it. Well, it was actually trying to attach to him, because it went to his side of the bed and affected him. I've never seen him affected like that, except for one other time. So we're like, all right, you've got to go back to where you came from.
I think it was just a male spirit that was just being a butthead to me. I really do, it was just being a jerk, because some of the stories out of Bannock, they were, greedy. Yeah. It was pretty cutthroat. And I guess the story goes where the sheriff was probably in on a lot of the stealing of the gold in that town. So you know.
Okay.
We had a clip that we put on from Bannock, I think on our YouTube or on our Facebook page, showing the REM pod on the stairs. And if you watch one of those old, I don't know if it was Ghost Adventures,
Ghost
but
Adventures.
one of the guys talking on there actually brought an attachment, and he said he thought he got it off the stairs. Well, we kept having something follow us around, but it was in broad daylight and wasn't really doing a lot. But the REM pods kept going off. And I think we either picked it up from that staircase, because that's when Scott started having more chest pains that day. I mean, after that, when he was upstairs, because man, my chest kind of hurts. And I wasn't being affected at all, but the REM pods were going off. And we didn't, it was like it was stand back behind us and wouldn't let us interact. And that was all we got. It was such a really mild, that's what was so weird, is you just never know what you could get, just in the day, being out for a day trip.
That's what we mainly do, day trips ourselves.
Yeah,
so
yeah. We think
we don't really do much
night
at
is like highly overrated. You know,
It
place is
is a
haunted. It's
lot.
haunted 24/7.
Yeah.
You know, it's not
Right.
like they're sleeping during the day and they get up at night. And go, "Ooh, yeah."
It's like
I
time to
know.
party.
So, did you like envision maybe like a heart attack, or he got stabbed in the heart? Did you
I
think of
got
like,
shot.
He got shot. Okay.
It was a rough time. I mean, this is Montana, back in the
Yeah.
Wild West. So
I
Yeah.
was just cheapers.
Yeah, it was just weird.
Wow.
Yeah.
Anything goes.
yeah,
Anything goes. Well, it's really good that it disappeared after you did your saging, your cleansing. It's when it doesn't, you know, and continues to stay around that things get a little hairy. So that's good. Scott, what did the skeptical side of you say to that? Having something like in your face, like noise.
Yeah, I don't know. It still kind of bugs me, you know, because I have, my mind is still, I have trouble with that side of it, you know, the psychic side and all that. I'm really cut, you know, black and white. I need to see it or feel it for myself. Maybe I get more out of like that because it happened to me, rather than if I was listening to somebody going the same story and I'd go, oh, cool. I don't get that from it, you know, but I think it's really cool that I did experience it. For myself. Now, what I believe about it, I still don't know.
Yeah,
he still rolls his eyes
it's
at
weird.
me. He still rolls his eyes when I say something that's psychic.
I'm a hard nut to crack, you know, I am. But, you know, the more I've done this, the more, you know, because when we first started in 15 compared to now, I mean, we didn't know what the heck we were doing back then compared to now, you know.
So you go and you learn. That's the thing. We learn in the
Right,
process.
right.
No, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to start this. Hi, Doug. That's Anne-Marie Young's husband.
Oh,
Your childhood, Scott. What was your childhood like? Did you have any haunted or any kind of experiences?
No, you know, I had none of that. I didn't really know, other than like, you know, TV shows, the old Night Stalker show back as a kid, that kind of stuff.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't really have any experience to it or exposure. And it really didn't happen until I met, you know, Kim in 2013. I mean, it's the truth. I really it wasn't even on my radar.
She corrupted you.
She did. I was just going to say that.
Told you.
he loves it.
Yeah, you know, she was living in Buffalo, Wyoming when we met, and they had done a Dead Files episode of the Occidental Hotel. And that was one of the first things she had me watch, because it was based there in Buffalo. And, you know, she slowly just kind of kept going at that kind of stuff. And the more I did it, you know, especially, like I said, the equipment side, I love getting responses with things that shouldn't be there, you know, because my scientific brain goes, that shouldn't have went off, or that shouldn't have said that word, or whatever.
Yeah, it's presenting like a physical evidence that you can go, like, here's some data. It has to mean something. It shouldn't do
sentences and little things you auditorial, like hear yourself, or you grab, you know, on the recorder as well.
Right.
So, no, I understand.
So yeah, I really wasn't exposed to it or had any kind of. Now I do remember, like in 8th grade, there was a I was born in North Dakota, but via the Air Force, I grew up for like 10 years down in Louisiana, and one of my classmates, they lived in a haunted house. It was like, at that time, it was a 100-year-old house, and it was well documented of being haunted. Now, a little kid, you know, we had a sleepover. There was about 4 or 5 of us at his house, and you know, I was expecting through all his stories things would happen, but nothing really happened to me. But you know, that's really the only thing I can think of as a kid that paranormal wise or spirit, things of that nature that I even remember really.
And Kim, things went differently for you growing up, right?
I did. I was the only girl. I had 6 older brothers. So I think my family always thought I just had a vivid imagination trying to get attention. But as I got older, I always would tell my mom and dad stuff that I'd see, and they kind of blow it off. I don't know if it's because they didn't want to give me the attention of it and make me get afraid, or what the reasoning was behind it. But I would come home. My earliest thing that I can remember, I was about 4.5 years old. We were living in Douglas and I was in preschool. And me and my older brother, we were riding bikes. He was 2.5 years older than me. And we were going down we lived in a subdivision. So on these dirt roads, and we were riding our bike, and we went by this tanker that was next to a garage, a shop, an oil tanker thing. So it looked like somebody was working on stuff like an old truck and stuff like that. And I saw this Native American climb out of there, the hatch open, and him climb out of there. But he was wearing Native clothes. He wasn't wearing normal clothes, but it scared me because it didn't feel right. I didn't know who this creepy thing was. And I thought my brother saw it. And he was like, no, you didn't see anything. And so I think my brother was the type of person, Mike, if I remember right, and this has been so long ago, I could be wrong, but I think he actually asked the man because I remember seeing a man working on a vehicle about the tanker. And for some reason, I just knew that was a spirit, and I would not ever go down that road again. It scared me so bad I wouldn't go down that road. So I don't know if it had been in a wreck, he had rolled it, or if something took up residency, but he climbed out of that. And I just was terrified by that thought. He was living in it, so.
Wow.
And then that same time of year, the creepiest thing was me and my brother was also riding out, and there was a stretch of trees down this one lane. And my brother looked up in the sky with me, and the clouds got really weird. He goes, "Did you see that hiding behind the clouds?" And we rode our bike so fast home. We swore we saw a UFO during that same summer.
Oh, wow.
So, so my mind was like, boom. And my brother was the only one there with me at the time. But then, just over the years, I had so many experiences, just things that I couldn't explain. And it really messed with me and made me a shy child. It made me, I don't know. I didn't want people thinking I was strange. So it's
crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm right with you with that, with being a child and doing that, parents and stuff. So,
well, we hear you. The reason why we ask that is because so many people that we talk to did have some sort of like crazy, unexplainable experience as a kid. Not that there's anything wrong if you didn't. There were extremely well-known people in the paranormal that said, nope. Lloyd Auerbach didn't, right? Nope. A parapsychologist, Lloyd Auerbach, pretty famous guy.
Wow.
No childhood experiences, but it's something like 99% of the folks as adults have had something they can't explain. And it might be like shadow people, like in Kristen's case, or really bizarre clowns in my case. And we also had a Native American thing going on in the house I grew up in as a kid. And it was really strange. And, this stuff exists. And I wonder if part of the reason some of us stay with it or are interested is because we're trying to rationalize what might have happened.
Right. I don't know if it affected me growing up, because I know that I tended from then on was attracted to Native American teachings and culture, and growing up in Wyoming on the reservations, being around that culture, that, it's just the way it was. And then I just always drew towards the nature side things, being on the mountain. I could go and totally be 100% comfortable by myself in a wooded area where you think the boogeyman would get you. But if I got in the city, I'd get anxiety. I couldn't handle being around that many people. Didn't understand it was I was picking up on all their energy. Didn't know how to ground it. But I don't know if it came back from seeing a Native way back when. I've been told one of my guides, his name's Joseph, and he was a Native American, either a shaman or something along those lines. So I usually use him when I'm first connecting with stuff, asking him to help me. So he's my first go-to.
Wow. Oh, that's great that you have a good relationship with your guides. We'll talk about that a little bit. Uncle Lee says, like Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, we clink our chains and try to walk the line. Rambling Rose.
Rise from your grave.
I got to put that in there because Echo loves that. It's altarpiece.
That's nice.
Funny.
But yeah, that's so intriguing. So you kind of grew up being aware of the phenomena. This blossoms into other things for you.
Right.
When did you meet spirit guides, and like how did that come about?
I think they were always with me because I had a very dark, I guess, when I was 15,
Dramatic.
it got pretty traumatic for me, and I ended up a suicide attempt. And I ended up in a coma. They put me in a coma, and I was in ICU for a week. And during that time I was in the coma for a week, I was supposed to have kidney failure because I had overdosed, and it had been in my body for well over 10 hours. And I was supposed to have kidney failure, and it was on migraine medication of all things, prescription drugs. And it messed me up pretty bad, where they gave me the charcoal anyway, knowing that it wouldn't do the job because it'd been in so long. But they self-induced me into a coma, and I remember waking up, but I wasn't in my body. It was standing at the edge of my bed. And I looked at my dad, who was leaning in, and there was a pastor, and they were holding hands, praying over me, crying. I get choked up about this, sorry. I looked back at the bed, and I looked at my monitor. And what was so odd to me is I personally didn't have any emotion. My emotion was totally out of it. I was watching from a objective point of view. It was like I was watching a movie that it wasn't me, and I was just absorbing it. And so then the next time I woke up, it was a week later, and my mom was stroking my hair, telling me, "Don't you ever do that again." And she was just white as a sheet. And she was numb, and I told her I wouldn't. And we got through that period of my time. But what happened is it made it worse for me because it opened my abilities. I really started becoming very open, and there was a part of stretch the road I was afraid to drive home because there was always somebody sitting in my back seat, and I was just afraid to drive. So I had a lot of anxiety. I thought I had depression because I was boom, 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 picking every time I'd walk into something, I'd absorb their energy.
Sure, and it's such a strange
messed
time
up.
too, right? You
Yeah.
said you were 15.
Yeah.
It's setting in, and with so many different emotions and things as well, like because your body's changing, your brain is changing, it's literally growing, and that had to really be
So
something.
I had went there, and I went towards the dark. I ended up trying the tarot cards when I was 20. I tried automatic writing, and not saying that stuff's dark, but I didn't have anybody leading me, no teacher, nothing. I just like flying by the foot of my pants,
Seat of your pants, yeah.
Yeah, that. And so I actually encountered some really dark stuff that came through, and I think it was attached to me for a long time, and it caused more depression through the years, to be honest with you. And my relationships were failing all the time. I could never get it together. But the only thing that ever gave me peace was when I could get alone and go up on the mountains and get good with
The
God.
mountains.
I couldn't get in therapy. I couldn't get, I even at one point after the military, going to the VA doctors, asked them to check me for schizophrenia and bipolar just to make sure I didn't have mental illness. And of course I didn't, but I needed that affirmation that, okay, Kim, this really is real. So it wasn't until I was with Scott and a couple other incidences where I lived life kind of precariously, not caring about life, and another suicide attempt. I should go ahead and just put that out there. I prayed for God to bring somebody into my life. And that's when I met Scott. Scott was brought to me. Guarantee he was brought to me. And he came to me with that skeptic mind, but yet I was able to tell him who I was, what I'd been through. I didn't have any secrets. We were too old for secrets. Just get it out there. If you like me, like me. If not, get lost. I don't have time for this. But because of that, it's led to us what we're doing now, paranormal investigating. So now I'm getting the affirmations of stuff I've always known all my life, but I'm also learning from it the right way now. So it's like, I swear he's my gift. And so it's kind of interesting to me every day that we go out and do our investigations, how much we learn from each other and how much the equipment validates it for us and for other people. And from what I've been through, I would help anybody. I would never want them to walk the same path. I would want them to understand that they don't have to live in a box anymore, kind of deal. That there's so many of us out there now. We're a dime a dozen, really.
Right.
But
it's why we do this.
Yeah, exactly. It's an awesome community. It is.
It is.
It really is, and it's enduring. And your story is amazing and awesome. You know,
Thank
I love how the two of you balance each other by having skepticism and that
Yes.
kind of spiritual side too. And you know, it's only going to blend into really good things because the spiritual person also needs to be a little skeptical, and the skeptical person needs to be aware, hey, there's more to this, you
Right.
know, and between you, it seems like that's coming through. So
Yeah, I challenge her and she challenges me, you know, on investigations. You know, if she'll say I heard something or whatever, and I was like, well, I had the camera going, we'll see if we heard it. You know, that kind of stuff. It's just how we operate. We're the yin and yang, and you know,
That's awesome.
she helps me
Yeah.
and I help her. So
we understand.
it
We
works.
get it. We think that there's more of a power in that, like investigating, but apart is never as fruitful as being together. It's just something
Right.
about it, and we're not as diverse, you know, as far as being skeptical versus spiritual, but we can do a little of both on each other. You know,
Yes. Yeah.
sometimes she'll say something and I'm being a little skeptical. I'm like, well, let's play that back.
And then
And sometimes
same
it's
here.
the
I'm like,
reverse.
"Mm."
She'll be skeptical, and
Yeah.
Same here.
you know, and-
But it's a good mesh between us, like you guys as well, and we call it chemistry and
Yeah.
synchronicity as well. So
It is. It sure is.
it's
Yeah, I have, you know, probably the last year, we've been doing a little more investigating and doing some things. And I have been getting a little more open, I guess. I get a little more, you know, you get that gut feeling or, I mean, I've got a life, in normal life, I've got a gut feeling of things and I just walk away. I don't like negative energy or whatever. Or bad vibes. I can feel it and I just, whatever, I follow my gut. But as we've
absolutely.
been doing this, I've kind of developed that a little more, I guess, towards the paranormal.
He's starting to open.
Yeah.
I don't like that word.
I don't want
but
to say
he's
I'm
opening.
opening up, but I guess I am.
I don't know how
that
you.
quahog out there in the beach just
Yeah. I'm not admitting to anything.
I don't know how you can't investigate and not become more open over time. I don't know how you could not. It doesn't open your senses more. I don't know how it can't.
That's true. Yes, we agree with that.
yeah.
Yeah,
Honestly, I was more skeptical before Kristen and I started doing this because, like I said, there is like a thing about doing it as a couple. That we had experiences that I've been doing this stuff for a long time, and you know, and then while I got data and evidence and stuff like that, and had a belief in it, I saw more, and there were things that physics doesn't matter anymore. You
No,
know,
Past couple of years, it's been like that. Once in
been
a
a little
while,
crazy.
we'll have something and go, "Oh shit, science can't explain that. There's no physics on. I
Right.
don't know how that
Yeah,
just
it's
happened.
freaky.
You know how it happened or whatever." But real quick, I just wanted to say, thank you to Brenda. I think it's Wickham.
That's my cousin.
Brenda.
She's
Oh, hey, Brenda.
50.
I should have
Sorry,
sent
thank
you
you.
guys
Thank
a
you.
clip of her.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it actually is funny. She investigated us with us down in Goldfield and Tonopah, the Clown Motel, with us back in 2016.
Something like that.
And something happened to her while we all were getting our gear together, our cameras and stuff getting together. We're sitting, and she was talking about her sister. And sorry, Brenda. And it wasn't a very good topic. And my grandma had already passed. And it just goes to show you that when you get scratches, it's not necessarily from people like in the. We weren't even investigating yet, and we watched 3 scratches form on her neck, and we were videoing it, and it's on our Facebook page. But it was because she was talking kind of negatively about her sister. She's mad at her sister. And Mary Lynn, my dear friend, hopefully she's on here too. She's
still
also
watching.
my mentor. She was there that night, and she was over setting up cameras. And I said, "Come over here. Something's going on. Brenda's in the middle of getting scratched." And she come over and put hands on Brenda and said, "This is your dad's mom," which was my grandma. And my grandma loved Brenda's sister. She didn't want Brenda talking crap about her sister. And so basically she scratched Brenda. And so you hear Brenda on the video say, "I love you, Grandma, but knock it off."
Were they really bad? Like, could you see
They
them?
were red. Yes,
They
you
were-
can make.
I think
You go
sent
look
me
at that
that
video.
a while back when we first started talking. You were telling me about that. I'm like, oh my goodness.
I think it's on your Facebook page, if I'm not
It is.
mistaken. As well,
Yeah,
you
it
have some video of that. Yeah, so you
Yeah.
can see this on on Facebook. If you go to Who's Afraid of the Dark,
Yes.
find that on Facebook, and there's video of those scratches.
Yeah, I was actually shooting it with a full spectrum, and you couldn't really see it until I turned the full spectrum off, and then there's 3 marks just right down
Yeah.
the side of
The
the neck.
three,
Quite
like
the
the Holy
Yes.
Trinity thing
You
people
know-
talk
Yep.
about.
Yeah, but it was my grandma. It wasn't nothing nefarious like a demon. It was
Yeah,
family.
right.
I love the word nefarious.
Well, you hope not, right? Is
Right.
it really?
Was it really
So-
grandmother? Was it? No.
I think our abilities run in the family. I think Brenda's very empathic, and so and I know that's a whole nother show about how it runs on my mom and my dad's side both, and my grandma who scratched her I think she was, they thought she was a little crazy at times, but I think she had abilities too. I know it.
I believe that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I thought grandmas were supposed to make like nice ham dinners and
not our grandma.
oh,
Girls.
She was a Mino rancher.
Oh, really? That's so cool.
oh, come on in, let me make you some tea.
Yeah.
That kind of
Eat
thing.
my raw eggs, damn it, and you're gonna like them. That's what we got.
Wow.
Great.
Well, that's pretty cool. So yeah, I definitely advise that people go out and check out that Facebook page and see
Yes,
that video,
please.
and as well as others. And there's
Yeah.
some funny stuff on there too, and really really cool page.
Thank you.
So, what was the first investigation that you guys did? I think we may have some data from that investigation.
Yeah, so we were in Vegas in 2015, and we saw they were doing like ghost tours where they would come in a van and pick a group up. You buy a ticket online, and he would go down to Good Springs, Nevada, where the Pioneer Saloon is, and they would go around the whole town, and you could go into the saloon, and they had like old miner shacks and stuff there. So we booked a trip on that. We didn't. I think we went out and bought a recorder. That was our first piece of equipment, probably like most people. And so we did this tour. We were out there. We did the whole thing. They gave us those little $10 EMF meters. We had those around our neck, and we were walking around town. And we really didn't. I guess we didn't really feel much that time. Is that when you took the pictures? Well, I didn't feel anything. I'm just going to speak for myself. I should have learned this by now. I'm going to just speak for myself. I didn't really feel much out there. Kimberly has another story about that. But after we had went back to our hotel, we got back, I don't know, 1, 2 in the morning. And we were listening to our EV recorder, recorder, and there's an EVP we caught on there. And I think you got the audio from it. I don't know if you can play that or if they got a clip on that.
I sure can. No, I can play. If it's one, I have 2 EVPs from you. Which one would this one be?
So
the little girl outside.
yeah. So
Okay.
at that time, all we had was a recorder in that, and so I basically was letting my abilities kind of lead me to where I was feeling. And whenever I'd feel something, I would click on my recorder, or I'd take pictures. And so we were walking down the road, and Scott was on the other side of the road from me with the millimeter kind of messing with it. And as I'm walking down the road, then this one happens. And we were actually walking over to the schoolyard, and I was being drawn to the schoolyard. And we had told that a woman was seen there. And so I was hoping to get the woman, which is the next EVP, but I see something in a tree. So there's your story.
Oh, boy.
Okay. All right. So we're looking
know which
at
one
a
to go
schoolyard, and I'm going to play the recording, and then we've got some pictures too. And I find this interesting because of what's in the sound of the voices as well as the pictures. But let me start with that, and then this will be the what sounds like a little kid's voice to us.
So a little girl.
There it is. You hear that help.
So you said, so the little girl, and then you hear her little voice go, help.
There was actually, I'm pretty sure Mary Lynn can back this up for me, but because she used to actually manage and do the ghost tours out there at the Pioneer Saloon. But there was a little girl that got hit by a car, I believe, out there. And I think we caught her because I was walking that stretch of road when I did that. So
I think it's very clear, and that's amazing. This was your first investigation, right?
Yeah, like I said,
Yeah.
we didn't
Wow.
review that till we were back at the hotel at 2:00 in the morning, laying in the bed there, and we're listening to everything. And then when that came across, we both just stood up like, no way, did we just hear what we hear? We had to keep it
Right.
back, you know. And yeah, for me, that was the first that really hooked me into the paranormal.
Let me play it one more time, then we'll move on to the other clip and we'll look at those pictures. Carol Garcia says, very clear. Help.
thank you.
Wow.
Yeah, that's not doctored up in any way. We didn't clean it up or
We
anything.
didn't know how.
Yeah,
True.
Right?
That's true back then. Yeah.
Untouched.
Wow.
That's awesome.
So cool.
It's super clear, and definitely
Class
can
A.
hear that.
Definitely.
The next, this happens, I guess, a little bit after.
Yeah, we were on after. Okay, so I did that recording, didn't know we had it. Walking down the road, and we're going over to the schoolyard, and they were letting us wander around these buildings and stuff. So I walk up to the schoolyard, and it's chain link fence around it, so you can't get up there. And I was up there by myself, away from everybody, at least 100 yards. And I decided to get out my recorder, and I look around, and I also see something, and I start snapping pictures. And so I leave there, and like Scott says, we didn't review any of this stuff, and we went back and joined the group. So, but at that night, when we started looking through our stuff, we got that one too.
All right, I'll play that.
What am I hearing over here? Hold on.
You
So I
got
asked-
smashed.
Yeah, because I said, "What am I hearing over here?"
What am I hearing over here? Hold on.
Maybe she was a librarian.
no talking
It's
in
all
class.
you. All right. Well, let's bring up some pictures you took at that time. I believe these are the schoolyard. If I'm not
Yeah, and there
mistaken.
was a fence totally around
You
there
couldn't get in there.
around the school, and it was locked up. You couldn't get anywhere near there where she was shooting in that fence for pictures.
I was Linda. She shushed me.
I see Lynn Monet out there as
Yeah.
well.
Just saying
Oh.
hi for
Hey.
now.
Hi, Lynn.
Going on. What is happening? All right, let's bring that up. I got to share my screen, so bear with me. Sorry about all the multiple screens. So this is just the original picture.
Yeah, it
And
was so dark.
It was hard to kind of see what was going on, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, I just snapped it. It was really dark out there.
Through a chain link fence,
Mhm.
and then you lightened it up, and then we start to see some things here.
Yeah. You sent me this. This was.
Yeah,
That is creepy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I was looking at
center frame. What?
yeah,
I know in the
tree.
next picture you kind of circle it out, but
yeah. I didn't
Yeah.
see anything but the tree at the
Yeah,
time
crazy.
when I first saw it. And when I was drawn there, that's what I was seeing, trying to figure out when you got me shushed. I'm like, what is this? I was trying to figure it out.
Oh, it looks like he's got chains on.
I never caught that other thing.
There are two things in this
Yes.
picture, and
Okay.
they're going to be circled in the next one. There's a shadow figure in the tree, a shadow person, and there's what looks like a child. Would be on the left side of the tree.
Mhm.
I see the arm, leg. I mean, almost can tell the brand of jeans the child has on,
Yeah.
because it's actually that's
It's pretty
that would
defined.
be more than a shadow figure.
I would have never caught it if I hadn't put it on my big screen TV, because I never thought, and I thought, you know what? I know I need to lighten this picture and see.
All
because it bugged
hopefully
me.
people can make that out. And if you're listening, we're looking at a picture of a schoolyard, and you can see like a tree in the center, and there's clearly a dark figure in the tree
That's
that doesn't
Good
really
Lord.
go with the tree. I'm having trouble trying to rationalize what else that could be.
I'm not looking.
Right?
I don't blame you, Kristen. I don't
No,
blame
you
you.
sent me that on on my Shadow Man freak out of 2022, and you sent me that right after. I'm like, I can't look at this, Kim.
You can
So
see
sorry.
a chain link fence in the
No,
background.
it's fine. It was funny.
And there's what looks like to me a very clear child. I mean, I can
Striped
see his,
shirt, yeah.
haircut here.
That looks like a boy.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like a boy. And
Mhm.
you see his arm, his shoulders, you see his outline. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty clear.
That night was crazy.
It sounds like it.
This one here is just kind of circling out where the child is. If you
Thing
can't
about
see
it is we didn't realize we had these catches. We thought, oh, that was fun. We saw orbs. You know, we had no idea the evidence we caught until you review it
Yeah, this is
You know,
pretty decent evidence for one
our
of the first few times out.
together.
Right. Exactly. And I think that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You know, and you can make out the head here and an arm.
my
There's even like a little space there between the body and the arm. You know, what is that? You know, the picture itself is pretty dark. You wouldn't see a shadow going across a tree by itself.
High up, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool. Back to the screen. Pretty great stuff.
So there's this guy, the video I sent you. I don't know if you have that clip. And when we went back to the Pioneer Saloon, it was just how inside the saloon itself, all the activity is. It's an example of what, if you go to the Pioneer Saloon, I think everybody's going to get the experience of the video that like I took, or that guy took from England that I sent to you. And so that's how we wrapped it up there. But after that, Scott was like, let's buy some equipment and do this right.
Greg asked, what was in his hand?
So Greg saw something in his hand.
I do not know, Greg.
Linda says it looks like he's walking toward the school.
Yeah.
Carol Garcia said striped shirt on.
Yeah, had a striped shirt. I mean, like I said, I could almost make
thought
out
about
the
that,
brand of
yeah.
jeans or something. Looking for a Wrangler thing on
Yeah.
the back. But
Yeah,
there's
looked
no
like he had a belt on.
Yeah, he was definitely not from the 1800s, which I thought was interesting, you know, because I think the bar, that area is old out there. And so that was a newer era picture I thought was interesting, like you said, by the clothing.
Most definitely.
So
Wow.
We're just going through the
Oh,
comments
that's
real
your
quick.
comment, Chris. I put the wrong one up.
Yeah.
That happens. Yeah, so
We're
you
just
guys
gonna go
did send us a video, and it's a very unusual orb video.
It's great.
It's really cool, and you have to look close because you know the skeptical side of us, I think, pops out when you just hear the word orb.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
When we saw
It-
this,
it's
we were like,
immediately.
wow.
And
Yeah, you gotta watch the movement of it. That's
Yeah.
what.
that's kind of weird.
Yep.
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a neat one.
Just
Where
take
was
it
it?
for what it's worth, I guess.
It was
Yeah.
it was actually in the Pioneer Saloon itself, and you'll catch a ton of orbs in there. There's a lot of history with the Pioneer Saloon. Carol Lombard's plane crashed out in the mountains behind there. So Clark Gable came there and was waiting for 3 days.
Really, Greg, are
It's
you
how they-
Greg,
listening?
are you here?
What's
know,
that?
Cost.
Mr. Greg Koss, he one of
Talks
his
about
spirit
Carol
guides
Lombard.
is,
Oh, yeah.
Carol, yeah.
So it's a crazy story about how they think that they hear a woman crying in the bathroom there.
Yeah.
And then everybody's always trying to go there to catch Clark Gable, trying to get that, but that's not what you get. I think more than anything, you get other spirits, the cowboys. Paul, I can't think of his last name, Koski or something like that. He was a cowboy who got caught cheating there and he got shot. And so he shows up in there. And that place is fun if you ever get to go. One time, we've been like 3 times there, and twice Mary Lynn, she was, like I said, that's how I met her, was that she was doing the tours out there and the paranormal investigations. But we'd sit down and get around a table and start playing poker, and we had Crown, and we'd pretend to give the spirits a drink, and they get so active, the temperature would start changing in the room, and we'd have all our gadgets out there, and one came through when I asked him what to do with my hand. He said, I'd fold. I had a horrible hand. He told me I'd fold. And so you would always get a really fun kind of experience out there, but that Paul would come through. There's still bullet holes out there. That's one of them. If they ever do the tours and you're out in the area, you should go to, because it's active.
I'd love to go there.
All right. Well, I will play the orb in the saloon video
Yes,
now.
it's wonderful.
Wall is it on though?
Is there one?
Is it on this wall or is it on that wall?
You know, the thing is,
This is closer for them.
I think it's a
There's no
little
one?
harder.
No.
Yeah, because
Hello,
there's
is-
just more. There
There, just one more up the screen.
Simple. And these
There's one.
are
Look at it.
$60, $70 on Amazon, but there's
Look at
different
that.
ones. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a pro.
Wow,
which is what
guys,
they are, or go
guys.
Are you getting it?
Wow, that was.
And she walks into it.
I know some of you guys are watching this on your phone. I wish I had a way to zoom
Yeah.
in on it so you can see it, but it's quite bright. And, we've seen lots of bug photos and can recognize the bug,
Yes.
which sometimes looks pretty impressive. But you can tell, you can see a fluttering, you see wings, you see something. And this just hangs there and then go, all right, is it a dust? No, it's not a dust. You can tell by the way it's moving. And it's way too bright anyways. It's not infrared cam. This is a normal camera. I'm assuming it's your phone.
Yeah,
And-
it's an iPhone, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was the
Yeah.
guy that was on the tour. He was from England and he was shooting it with this phone.
Wow.
I'm going to play it one more time.
Which wall is it on though?
There's another one.
Is it on this wall or is it on that wall?
You know, the thing is
This is closer for them.
I think it was a
There's no
little
one.
harder.
Look.
Yeah, because
Below us.
there's more.
There,
These
just
are
one more up the screen.
fairly simple. And these
There's one.
are
Look at it.
$60, $70 on Amazon, but there's
Look at
different
that.
ones. There's
Yeah.
supposed to be a pro.
Wow,
which is what
guys,
they are, or go
guys.
Are you getting it?
Wow, that was.
So he
That is
was
so cool.
catching other ones too. But so he had been watching them and then he decided to start videoing them. And then after that one, he's like, get over here and look at this.
That's
So,
pretty cool.
yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, great comments out here. Wow. Anne Marie Young says,
Thank you.
Linda Judd says, what a beautiful orb. Lynn Monet says, that's, can't say it's dust, definitely an orb.
Yeah.
Anne Marie Young loves that. Terry's nice. Jack says, wow,
Thanks, Terry.
indeed. Well, that's great. I'm always nervous about playing videos on here because, again, people watch this on their phone a lot of times and it's tough to see stuff, but that really pops and
Yeah.
it doesn't move in a natural way.
No, it
In
does
fact,
not.
it looks like it stops because if you're watching the way your natural movement with the camera and what it's doing, it's almost like it hovered and watched you.
Right.
And then kind of,
Yeah.
Came to see what you're doing. Yep.
yeah, okay there. Hello there. Hello there, kind sir.
hey,
Can
I'm
you
on
spare
camera.
6 months?
Take my picture.
It's yeah. We'd love to go out there. I can't imagine the history and everything.
Yeah. I tell you, we've had excellent luck on any mining town that we've gone to. It's not just there, it's any mining town. We've had some really good luck.
And I don't know if that is just a sign that it was such a tragic time in history.
Right.
that so many bad things
Yeah,
happen in
that's
these
what I think about as
mining
well.
towns,
Yeah.
outlaws of the Wild
Yeah,
West,
it's
and
just
anything
so-
goes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mary Lynn just said it's very active there. And
Yes.
I got some kind of echo. And so she, like I said, she used to do those out there and she's a psychic medium. And there's even Native Americans. She could tell you a bunch of stuff. And like what she just posted there about bringing other spirits there. It's so well known. So many people have documented it out there that they probably, yeah. The energy that we were always around was always that little girl came through again that said help. She came in when we were at the table. We caught several repeating. So you get a lot of the same ones there. It was pretty neat.
Well, you find that there's like different personalities with this particular establishment.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, those guys were fun. Like the cowboy energy and things like that. Playing poker was really friendly. But then there was a point on one of the nights, something dark came in and had to be pushed away, kind of. But it's like all the regular spirits got quiet. It was weird.
Ooh.
The temperature instantly dropped. We had our meters out and we were documenting it. And I'd seen something pacing behind the curtain, and Mary Lynn was like, yeah, it's right there. And everybody at the table who wasn't psychic was like, what's going on? Or I said, look at the meters. And they had their equipment. And this one lady that was sitting at the table, she got kind of freaked out because her whole arm went icy and it scared her because she
Oh,
didn't know
yeah.
what it was. And so,
I see.
I think that's when I was turned to Mary Lynn. Basically, that's when she became my mentor because there's certain etiquette you know, when you're around people, you don't
Sure.
want to scare them. And so I've learned, she's been my teacher and become my best friend since then. So
Wow. Well, that's
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, she's a little
Great.
good.
That's great. Well, see, again, a great community out here. Lynn Monet asked a question about things following you home, and I know we started the show off
Yeah.
with that. I don't think she had joined yet. So, did you say it happened twice?
For Scott,
Yeah, they like me for some reason. They like me. I don't know why.
What you guys make sure that doesn't stick around.
Yeah, so the second time was actually just last weekend.
when Katie Stafford,
Yeah,
those guys were here.
Brandon Cooper and
Oh, yes.
Katie and Katie were out here. We did an investigation after the event for the veterans there in Deadwood. We went to a place we hadn't been yet. We hadn't been there. This was the first time we got in. I'm not going to say the name yet, but we went there. You know, we kind of did. I don't know if it's me, my protection doesn't work, or maybe I'm not believing what I'm saying, or you know what I'm saying. But
we went in lax. We were tired, and I feel like we went in half-assed. Like, oh, this is local. We're just going in with our friends. Not a big deal. So we closed things up, but I don't think we went in I went in really protected because I had my medicine bag and some things with me. But I didn't think twice about Scott, you know, making him do his little mantra and stuff and get his intent right. But
yeah, I think I kind of, maybe looking back at it, I probably had the same demeanor or attitude about the Bannock incident I told you about. So we had come home and I didn't really sleep good for the last few nights. It started Sunday night right after we got home, first 3 nights, and I would wake up in like cold sweats and I couldn't go back to sleep. I just didn't sleep well. You know how you get that, like I'm half awake, half asleep type for 5 hours, but you didn't really sleep. You're tired.
Yes.
I kind of got,
all too well.
We do that a lot.
yeah.
And I don't think it was yesterday morning, but the morning before, Kim hadn't gotten up yet, and I heard a little girl or a kid in our house
I was in
somewhere.
the shower.
I heard a voice. I thought it was downstairs. It sounded like a kid was outside. You know how they're playing and you hear them scream or yelling for playing. But I mean, it's like, you know, 8 degrees outside. There's no kids outside playing at, you know, 8, 9 in the morning. And I kind of didn't really think much about it until Kim kind of got up and she said, you know, I thought I'd heard noises in the house and things like that, or a man's voice.
Yeah. So in our house, when Scott tests his equipment, we have 2 stick figures. They're a common theme here. We know who they are basically, and they're welcome to be here. You know, we don't chase and bless everything out of here. If they mean us, we just tell them, don't draw on our energy. You're more than welcome. If you feel comfortable, stay, you can. And that's kind of how I go through my house. You know, the things that are here can stay because, you know, we're all living under the same roof. But if something comes in here that isn't, I feel the difference. And he had gotten up. It was so weird. He couldn't go to sleep. And I'm always the last one to go to sleep. And he could not. So he was watching TV. He was doing all this stuff. And he just said he was anxious.
Yeah, I felt really anxious.
So when he finally fell asleep, I felt him. And he was next to me. And he was all sweaty right here. But he was ice cold over here. It wasn't like his whole body was sweating. And I thought, that's kind of strange. And so I got up. I was wide awake. It was like we did a tag team. He had just gotten to bed and I hadn't known it. I woke up. So then it was weird to me. And I'm sitting on the couch and downstairs where he had been earlier that night working on his equipment. He was making those Valentine roses for me. I don't know if people saw them.
Oh, we saw them. They're beautiful.
Yeah. So he
out.
was downstairs doing that. And so I hear man's voices coming from downstairs. He's in the bedroom. I hear it. Dead quiet in the house. And so I'm listening to it. And then I hear my name being called out. I'm like, oh, shit. But that's what I think when it goes to that point.
You can say that here. Don't worry.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And so then I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to give it any energy. I'm just going to, you know, ignore it and worry about it later kind of deal because it's not going to let me. But then I'm thinking already in my mind, this is why we're not sleeping very well. There's some energy that don't belong here. And right before that, before Scott went to bed that night of Valentine's Day, the next night, I guess that's the next night, he came over and leaned in and kissed me. Now, Scott has never smoked cigarettes. he reeked of cigarettes. And I didn't say anything to him. And I'm like, that's weird. And so then the next morning when he said about the little girl, I said, okay, that's enough time to sage the house. That was
Yeah,
it. That was
time to cleanse.
Yep. And everything's back to normal again.
Excellent.
Wow. That's interesting, right? So
Yeah.
in times of weakness, you're tired. I like that you mentioned you were in the shower before and you heard like children playing. The
Scott,
running
yeah.
water is like a thing, and that white noise of it. We've gotten recordings of that. We've heard things, and we could go into graphic detail about running water and pee, even, and hearing voices.
It was a thing.
It was a thing.
Serious thing.
Yeah.
We don't tell that
There's
story.
something to that. You know, it's one way to even try to record the phenomena is maybe run some tap water or, have like a water fountain or something like that. So it makes a lot of sense that you would hear that in the shower.
But
other things.
did you hear it while she was taking a shower, like in the water noise? Or did you
I
hear
was in the shower. He was hearing it down the hallway.
down the hallway? Okay.
Oh, okay. So he could hear the shower though.
Yeah, separately.
So
Yeah,
it
it
was
was just
separate.
bizarre.
Yeah.
No, she
And
has-
what he did is he didn't even know I'd gotten up. And then he realized my phone was here on the couch. I left it in here. And because that was his first.
Yeah, I thought she was on her
Skeptic
phone and had the
reaction.
volume up,
He was
playing
looking for-
videos
yeah.
or something.
Sure.
But,
Wow.
yeah, just weird.
Yeah,
Yes,
and Linda
very.
mentions about raising vibes and it's
I
a form
agree.
of protection. And yeah, it's not always clear. I got real stuck on that phrase for a while, raise your vibration, because I'm like, well, what
Yeah.
does this mean? I'm not really vibrating right now. Although you are,
Right.
um,
Well, I think whatever was here wasn't letting us sleep. It was trying to lower our vibes. If that's what I got out of it.
Yes,
It was
it
trying to make
does.
us tired.
It drains you. It drains. It's an
Yeah.
energy sucker. It's a vampire, basically.
Yep.
Carol says I was lax, didn't do any protections that I would normally do before going to my mom's house, and I get jumped by
gee-
something not nice.
Jeepers. Jumped. I like that term, but wow.
Yep.
Yeah, some good comments.
Yeah.
It's a great show. Thank you, Lynn.
Thank you.
And just remind our audience again, Tuesday nights we have a brand new show out on Dark Horse Paranormal Productions, and wherever you're watching us now, you can see this Paranormal United Network. Synchronicity, adding the pieces to the puzzle, features Lynn Monet and Anne Marie Young. It's right
It's a
there.
great name.
And I think we have a guest coming up this week, and it's going to be a great show. It's really working out well. Echo Leaf says, as a kid, I would often hallucinate a random spurt of water like a quick burst from a garden hose or something. No one else could see but me.
That's weird.
Wow.
That's interesting.
That is.
Yeah. Wow.
Lynn says they do interfere with your sleep. Yeah, it's like that. It's like a weakness, right? You have gone lack of sleep. You start to see things without them necessarily being there anyway. You start to hear colors and
Oh, yep. Smell
Yep.
colors. And
smell colors,
I'm gonna tell the
hear them,
story.
have conversations.
I could tell
So-
you one.
So about this whole sleep thing,
Hey, Linda.
this was back in,
Yeah, there's
was it 15 or 16?
16,
I think. So we'd done the Pioneer, and we lived in Buffalo, Wyoming, which had the Occidental Hotel.
so we went
Um,
there a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, it's really, I think Amy Allen from Dead Files was there and did a show there.
They wrote part of the Virginian book upstairs there.
Yeah, it's a really like 1880s, 1890s hotel.
wow.
And so we went there. Like I said, we really didn't know what we were doing still at that time. We had bought some more equipment. I think I had an Ovilus and a couple more recorders. I think I had a real cheap full spectrum camera at the time. And this was the first time we went. There's like a north side part of the hotel where the downstairs, it was a brothel. And then the downstairs where they were doing the doctors or whoever would do the abortions for the
Yeah.
prostitutes.
Oh, come on.
So we were down below.
That's a thing.
Yeah.
Yep. And we were downstairs in which would have been the hospital / abortion clinic, I guess, or whatever you would call it. And we had walked through like tobacco smoke. Like it was there.
Fresh, like
Yep,
fresh.
like
roll.
somebody just lit it up and then it was gone.
Wow.
We walked through that and I was like, that's really odd,
Yeah.
And I remember on the Ovilus, we were getting lots of, I think Kim was kind of being a little aggressive, thinking there
Well-
was somebody there trapping
There was.
the women,
There
the
was,
lady
there is.
spirits. And
Mhm.
so we were getting some really interesting responses on the Ovilus. So we basically almost ran out from underneath the basement up to the second floor to where our room was. And we kind of, she can probably go into more detail, but we kind of shook it off.
Yeah,
We played around there with the EMF meters in our room.
'cause it was a haunted room.
Yeah, it was, I mean, the whole hotel is haunted, so any room, something could
Yeah.
happen. But we went to sleep at, I think, about 3 in the morning.
Mhm.
And this is what she tells me. So that about 5 in the morning, we were both sleeping, we were laying next to each other, and I reached over, put my arm around her, and
He
kind of
spooned me.
spooned up on her,
Uh-huh.
and I whispered in her ear, I went, whore.
It wasn't his voice.
And she said, it was not your voice. She woke me up.
Wow.
She woke me
Oh.
up so fast
I
out of
did.
that. Yeah, and we basically
Why'd
packed
you
up
call me that?
I was. I said, we are leaving. We are leaving right
Yeah,
now.
we packed up our stuff and we left. I mean,
Wow.
So you
Wow.
knew Kim. Yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't him. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
no.
nice.
I did.
Yeah.
Nope,
Yeah.
I'm out. Yeah.
That's an
Yeah.
awesome story.
That's a great
wow.
story.
That it
Yeah.
came out of you like this
I
is
think when
something
Scott
weird.
sleeps, he does open up to things, and that's because I've seen him sleep before.
I'm a
and
deep sleeper.
He's
when I get
always
into,
doing something in his sleep. I'm like, what? I wish I could get in your brain.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
And he doesn't remember anything ever. So I kind of
remember any of your dreams, Tom? You
very rarely.
wow.
I mean, I'll remember bits and pieces of them, but I get into such a deep sleep. Like I don't like to take naps because when I wake up, it felt like I didn't even sleep because I hit that. I don't know. I don't like it. I get in such a deep sleep and I can't come out of it. So, if I take a nap, but yeah, usually I'm a really deep sleeper.
Yeah, I think sleep is probably a kind of a portal area, especially those places in between.
Right.
A lot of our guests, and we've said this a lot. Talk about
Hypnagogic, hypnopompic. Yep.
hypnagogic, hypnopompic states, which is hypnagogic's right before you fall asleep. Hypnopompics when you're waking up, and you're in those in between states.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of alien abduction phenomena happens, shadow people, things of that nature.
Something happened to me that was totally scary. To this day, I can't even tell you what it was. Because I don't know if it was me coming out of my body and me waking up during that, or if I was actually getting pulled. I personally felt like we were down next to the Colorado River, and my senses were really heightened because of the river. I kept having all kinds of phenomena happening to me. And so I was sleeping there next to him. I woke up and I felt like I was being beamed. I'm not joking, like being pulled through my window, but I was above my body, but I was wide awake. And I freaked out so bad. I started like praying, almost like put me back, and saying stuff like in God's name. And I remember looking down my hallway and this big purple ball was down there. And then I went back. My heart was racing when I woke up. I don't know what that was.
God.
I had
It's
no
like you're
idea.
an astral. You're having an astral dream, a lucid dream.
That's
You're out of
crazy,
body.
though.
It's an out of body
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
I know from my own out of body experiences, sometimes things can just appear as like a light, and it can be like the scariest thing. I remember seeing as a kid, I was pretty good with this, seeing a red light in the hallway of my house and just knowing it was the most evil thing ever. It scared the shit out of me so much so I popped back to the body just like instantly, and woke up and all it was a light. It wasn't like a devil face.
Yeah, exactly.
Anything
It
scary.
was just a tiny red light.
But I just knew in my soul, if you will, like,
Yeah.
oh,
It was
that's freaking evil.
bad.
I thought aliens were getting
Run
me.
away, run away.
Well, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, yeah, run away, run away. It's
Yeah,
so
yeah.
funny.
I mean, I would love to astral travel, and I've been told by some other psychics that I have, and that I need to be careful to tether. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm dead asleep, but I vividly dream. I mean, it's like a movie for me. When I have my dreams, I could write books over stuff, and some of them are kind of out there, and some of them are like, wow.
You
But
should
I've
write
never ever actually woke up in the middle of being pulled. I don't, and if
Yeah,
that's
that's what's
astral
changed.
projection, I would do it. Yeah, if I could get comfortable with it. But that scared the bejesus out of me.
That does sound scary. Jack Kilowatt says, do you think that the cloud of tobacco was a spirit that was attached, and that's why you smell like cigarettes later in life?
I wondered that as well. Did
Oh,
they?
interesting.
I guess me personally, I think it was just residual.
Do you think it was residual?
That's what I think.
I believe that there is. That place was a brothel until the 1980s when all of them, the feds shut them all down. So you could
Wow.
have, and I mean, because you're out here in ranch country and things like this, those ranchers get off there and they'd go dust their boots off, and so that was legal until not that long ago. So I think you get all kinds of people through. So
Greg is jealous of Deadwood. No, a town like Deadwood, that can't possibly be haunted.
yeah, it wasn't. It was actually Occidental in Buffalo, which is like Deadwood.
Well, he's talking about our
Oh,
last weekend.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. I would think you could go into every building in Deadwood and catch some kind of activity.
Definitely. Mm-hmm.
We have to go out there. We have to go hang out with you guys for a little while.
Come on.
I think it was like a 3-day or 4-day drive when we looked it up.
Yeah.
If you guys can get what
Do
is
some
it? I know that we can fly to Phoenix on Allegiant. So if you can get to Phoenix and then fly up here to Allegiant, there's cheap flights
Cheaper
that way.
flights.
Yeah,
Allegiant is
my daughter
supposed to be
flies
great.
that. Yeah.
Our friend Nathaniel takes
Yeah,
it.
That's how we go to Vegas.
Like the
Yeah.
flight might get canceled, like like it's a little shaky, but if you get
Yeah.
on, it's a really good price.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we need them as a
Pick you up.
sponsor. And
Yeah.
are you listening, Allegiant?
For God's sake, Diet Coke, where are you people? Where's the Coca-Cola?
Yes.
Echo says I heard a different voice. My girlfriend when she dreams and speaks spooky.
God, that's
Oh.
so
There you go.
terrifying.
It's a thing, right?
That is weird, isn't
Yeah.
it? So I'm going to, Mary Barrett's going to be at the mill, and I'm going to actually do a past life regression to see what happens.
Are you
I'm
really?
excited to see what happens.
Oh, nice.
I'm totally not wanting to do that because of
Really?
all the shadow people and stuff. And I've been asked a few times, and I'm like, no, I do not want to bring that back.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
Well, I have a birthmark on my hip and it's identical to my dad's, the exact same spot. And I've only heard one other person say that when you get a birthmark in a spot, that's a trauma from a past life.
Yes.
And I've never been able to research that.
Yeah.
And I've wanted to. And my dad's is identical, where he had his. It looks exactly mine, same side of
Oh,
the
that's
hip. So that
weird.
is
I've
so
never heard
weird. Yeah.
I've never heard about two people having the same one. I've heard
Yeah.
about them supposedly representing maybe you were stabbed or
Right.
killed with a spear or something.
Right. That's what my
Mm,
dad
yeah.
said. We got
Yeah,
both
right.
very-
One of those things. But we've heard stories like that, but not having it in the family.
That's cool.
It's
I
like
used to,
generational.
I
Echo asked, "Do you dream journal?"
I was going to
Sometimes when I remember, I used to, and when I have visitation dreams, they go in a book because I do probably have enough to write a book about my experiences if I wanted to.
You really
I've got
should.
so much stuff. But
Wow.
It definitely sounds like it. Amber
Yeah.
Young asked, "Have you ever felt like you had dragons around you?" How do you feel about dragons?
that's so funny. I just got chills that you said that because Mary Lynn, my friend again, she's started doing these pours, these acrylic pours. She does artwork, and she's found out through her stuff, and I've got some of her pictures. It's crazy that when she's thinking about something, stuff comes out in her paintings. And whenever she's talking to me, and I thought it was on her, she's been pouring dragons, and I thought, "You're doing dragons again." She goes, "Well, mine's the wolf," but there's like 3 or 4 different things she poured that had dragons all in it. So I don't know what that is or what it means, but when we went to New Orleans, I have to send you guys these pictures. It's crazy. We were down in New Orleans and we were doing that investigation, and I had Mary Lynn doing a walkthrough with me. And the next day it was a 3-day thing, and we were trying to decide if there was a demon in this place.
Really?
Because it was pretty intense investigation. We got called down there on a Friday. We jumped in our vehicle on a Friday and hauled butt and drove 1,500 miles to get down there to help them with this investigation.
Wow.
So we concluded that we didn't think it was a demon, but it's really, really, really dark energy there. But the thing that is you got all the voodoo and the different cultures, and that's out of my wheelhouse. And so the people that we went with, the Tallies, they have they're really interesting too. They own a tour company down there that gives paranormal. They take you to haunted places and they give you tours, and they have all the equipment, and they let the people interact at their spots. And so they're the ones who called us in. And so when we were down there, Mary Lynn says, "Be careful." She goes, "I just poured this painting, and it looks like somebody in a cloak, like you saw in that picture. And the witches down there from the Coven said, that's how, and they were teasing me because I said, I'm not a witch. She goes, if you're not voodoo, you're a witch, because I use witching rods and things like that, you know? So I'm like, okay, fine, I'm a witch. I don't put a label to anything. I just, you know.
Again, no
That's
label.
so they said, but that picture is what they call a water witch. And my dad used to witch wells to find water. And that's how the dowsing rods came into our family, as we
Right.
always.
Water witching.
Yeah. Yeah. So there was a hooded thing in the top of the picture. And underneath me, right next to me, there's this thing with claws, like fangs sticking out, like face. And she says, that's what bothers me. Guess what? We invited the voodoo priest of the local thing to come along because of the voodoo stuff in there. And he was there the next day. We found out he started in 2005, the Vampire Coalition, the organization down there.
Oh, wow.
There's your thing.
Yes.
He was standing right next to me.
Yeah, telling me the other night. Oh,
Wow.
Yeah.
that's
But I
crazy.
didn't know that. She didn't know that when she did the picture, and she was seeing all this stuff going on. And it was very active that night. But they ended up bringing in a Catholic priest because the voodoo, it was done through the church. What had happened was satanic, and it wasn't the other cultures. So they had to bring in a priest.
It was satanic or.
Echo Leaf
It's
says he's got a birthmark on his hip that looks like Mickey Mouse.
That's awesome.
So, I'm
He
not
was a
sure
musketeer.
Hey,
what that means in
you
a past
come
life,
in my past life. We got to talk.
you know.
That's awesome.
That's great. I love that. Wow. So since you've done these investigations, we know what you were doing when you started. We know what you've been up to lately. What was in the middle? Like, do you guys road trip frequently?
Well, I'll do the short version. So we were slowly progressing. We did like the Occidental a few times because it was right there in our hometown in Buffalo. Like I said, we went to Pioneer a few times. I think 17, maybe 18 was the last time we were there.
Nevada, Arizona.
Yeah, we were doing the snowbird thing in an RV, a fifth wheel. We actually went on the road for 2 years.
I'm going to name them.
And we were down in Arizona. We did a little bit of investigating down there. And if anybody knows us that are our friends, they know we've went through some things here over the last 3 or 4 years. Medically wise, that's all I'll say. You know, like I said, if you're our friends, you know what we're going through. But we really didn't start getting back into it, really investigating probably 2 years ago. We kind of started getting back into it, and last year we really did
hit it again.
We hit it again. You know, we went on some public events. We got to meet like Shane Pittman, Dave Schrader, Chris Fleming.
Some neat people.
Yeah, and we just kind of started. You know, I started I'll jump back a little bit. Back in 15 or 16, I started making some SLS cameras, and I kind of made a few for friends, things like that. And then 2 years ago, I started making a bunch of them. Like I sold like probably 200 of them within a year. And so doing that, you know, last year I started making some more. I actually bought some 3D printers, and I was starting to do things with that, so I could kind of
that's really cool.
open up my designs. And so doing that and going on, you know, some of these public events and, you know, meeting people like you, we've really met a lot more people that are really
learned so much.
Yeah, we've learned so much, and everybody we've met have just kind of we kind of got a little deeper involved in it. You know, we're really starting to go to some better places now. Last year we did Whispers Estate. I sold Rich Ballard, the owner. I gave him some equipment for an investigation there at the house. And we're going to do that again here in March next month. And we got like Ashmore Estates, Trans-Allegheny.
The Marks on there.
Yep.
They're going with
Terry
us.
Marks and Trisha, his James Brady and his wife Kim. They're going with us. Same with Jim and Melissa Rupert. Which these are all people we met through the paranormal or, you know, friends of friends in paranormal. So and it's just a great community, and we've really branched out. So now we're starting to travel a little more. We're able to that we've put some of the medical stuff behind us for now, and we're just able to, you know, go out and meet people such as yourself and like Brandon Cooper and, You know, when
Yeah.
those guys
Yeah.
came out
Nice,
here, that
nice.
was so much fun
That was-
last weekend meeting those guys. And, you know, it's
I
just,
saw the pictures. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
we love
Anna
Brandon. He's
and-
been on the show a
Oh,
couple
God,
times. And
yeah, he's a good
we've
guy.
had
Yeah.
Katie and Katie
Oh, Katie.
on,
Yeah.
on before. Awesome
They're
people. to talk
just
to.
like you'd imagine them to be, too, just down to earth, good people. Yeah, Scott started making the equipment for Christmas money, extra money. You know how you try to think of ideas to get extra
Little
funds?
travel money, you know?
But then
Yeah.
people wanted it. He's like, well, this will be how we pay for these trips. And that's kind of how we started able to book more trips, places, because of the sale of his stuff. We're able to pay the gas money. And that's how
That's
we've
great.
been able to go.
I know I was eyeballing that SLS camera that went up for the SLS camera that you guys generously donated to benefit Brandon in an auction. I
Yes.
believe it was about a week ago. It's fantastic and wonderful of you
Thank
guys
you.
to do that.
Yes.
You're welcome.
We thought
So
that was so
sweet.
cool. We were talking about it on the show, and
Yeah.
we know
guys
that
are
some people in the
wonderful.
audience were out there watching it and bidding, and really cool stuff.
Thank you. Yeah, we're going. So through, like I said, through the sale of the equipment, I think it was 2 years ago, I sold Jennifer Lee.
Yes.
She's from Myrtle
Raven.
Beach, Raven Paranormal. She's friends with Brandon. I sold her some equipment. And about a year later, she sent me a text saying, you know, she couldn't remember how to work something on the camera. And I like responded like immediately because I was still making them. And, you know, I'm I guess medically retired right now is what you would call it. So I'm on my phone probably more than I should, but I responded to her, and then she just started talking to me, and she kind of mentioned about this Paracon next month in Pickens, South Carolina, the Haunting at the Mill. Brandon, Supernatural Inc.
Yeah, they're hosting.
They're part of the co-sponsoring it. And
I think
so,
it's the first one ever there too.
Yep, yep.
So it's never been investigated. So it'll be fun.
So yeah, she's kind of got us, you know, into that little group of people there, and expanding our friendship with everybody. And
So we started sponsoring her too. So Scott's making all this equipment for her and Mary Barrett because they're going to go across country now, and she's going to offer her past life hypnosis, and they're going to do a haunting location as their events. And so she wanted stuff that they could use to give to the people who come to the events to try while they're doing it. So we're sponsoring them. She's getting some of our equipment that they get to use for that. That's theirs. So
That's awesome.
great
That's
people.
So
Yeah.
wonderful.
That's
Yeah.
really cool.
Hearing that. Yeah.
Our friend Echo Leaf asked, doesn't know what an SLS camera is, and for those of you who don't know,
Yes.
maybe you could explain that a little
Yes,
bit.
I'll
because-
hold it
Sure.
back
So
up again.
it's
And
a
that is-
SLS stands for Structured Light Sensor. So anybody that's ever seen a Xbox 360 with the Kinect sensor that you would use for movement, say if you're going to play tennis, it picks up your arm movements, things like that. So what it's
Mario Kart.
yeah. So what the algorithm in the program, the software is looking for your body joints. It's trying to make a head, shoulders, arms, your elbows, your legs to track your movement. So it's using an infrared grid. So there's a red, green, and blue camera and a depth perception camera. So I've got this one here in my, I guess got to go this way. So there's two cameras, and then right over here is the IR light, and you got the two different cameras. So what it's doing is looking for depth, you know, things closer and farther away. So if you've ever seen these on TV, when you have the colored screen, that's different colors differentiate the different depths. So what happened, probably back in roughly 2010-ish, maybe 2008, somewhere in that timeline. You can actually use these for like a 3D scanner to scan objects, or you can use it for like a regular camera if you hook it up to your computer. So somewhere along the line, somebody was using this and saw a figure of a person that wasn't there, you know, the green stick figure mapped. So it kind of translated from that into the paranormal with, well, that must be a spirit, you know, if there's picking up an entity that has that much energy or is showing a body form that we can't physically see with our own eye.
You can't map
Right,
cats and dogs. You can't map your TV or your chair. It will for a second, which will be an anomaly, but it won't. You know it's an anomaly,
Yeah,
and it
and
goes away like
trying
the
to find
chair or something.
a person. It's literally
It's
trying to
literally
find the
trying to
shape
find
of
it
a
'cause
person,
right.
kind of in the infrared, right?
Right. It's in the
Right.
infrared. You have to, I know because my son has Connect. So,
Yeah.
and it's a space and it gives like you a space and it tries to, you have to do all these things, during it. And if you modify it like you guys did and take it out, that's absolutely amazing and literally works.
We try to keep it as light as we can because a lot of people carry them around all night and they get heavy. So that's what Scott's been trying to do. He's taken the same technology and made it lighter is what he's been working on. It's because you're carrying that all night long, your arm's going to get tired. So
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. I like the
Yes.
way you've got that, and almost
Yeah.
like a pistol grip kind of thing.
yeah. You can
Very
even
cool.
put it on a tripod too. He's got it to where you can screw it on a tripod and make
Yeah,
it.
some
or a
people
little
have said
stand.
they've used like a monopod,
Mhm.
rather than a handle you could put, and then just so you don't have to have the weight of it while you're walking around. Or
So-
I've actually got another version that's going to be coming out soon. That's actually a little nicer than this one. So
Wow.
So
Now,
Go.
do you sell these online or are there special ones? Like,
yes.
I
So
wanted-
last year, the year before, year and a half, something like that. I was mainly selling them on eBay, and there for a while, as soon as I would put them on, I'd probably sell 10 a week. I mean, I
wow.
really couldn't keep up with them at that point on there. But the one thing I didn't like about eBay was they take such a high percentage of your value. It's like 13% of the whatever it sells
Yeah,
for. So
crazy.
I was giving eBay a lot of money. So I've decided to kind of fine tune it, make it a lot nicer. And I'm just probably going to be selling through my Facebook page, through, shows like these, contacts, word
Show
of
him the
mouth.
case that it comes in.
Yeah, these newer ones come with a case too. So I made them small enough where they fit in
Oh, it's very nice.
that smaller case. So,
Looks like very sturdy. Might even be bulletproof.
well, the case is the size that they use for like pistols. So it's a
Yeah.
smaller case.
Dark 30.
Yeah. That seems to be an issue with those cameras.
No,
This
thank you.
pure size of them.
And Echo, whenever we investigate, we try to do at least 2 or 3 different things, not just the SLS. So we'll have our infrared camera going. We'll have, SB7 or
Well,
just different equipment on trying to catch.
yeah, the sensor was made to be stationary. So when you're walking through, you don't want to run around, oh, look, up and down. You want
Right.
to
Yeah,
just
you have to.
You're going to get
take your
some weird
time.
stuff, I imagine.
And if you see something, just stop, kind of do, if you can do a 180 around it or 90 around it, and just because it will make false positives on furniture if it thinks it's a human form. So that's where you need the other equipment,
But you
recorders.
can debunk it fairly
Try to
quick.
talk with it.
Yeah.
Tell me about the guy coming off the cross.
Yeah, so there's a piece of footage on our Facebook page that really got me sold on these SLS cameras. And I think it's back in 2016 in the Goldfield Hotel, or not the hotel, we were there doing the hotel, but the Goldfield Cemetery. We actually, there was a cross in the cemetery that we captured a figure on it. And
No way.
I don't know if I want to give it away. I'd rather have you guys go look at it because it solidified the camera for me.
I think you should,
in
because
my
there's more of
mind.
a story.
But not right now, right after the show. Everybody
Yep,
go.
yep. Yeah, stay here. Don't go.
Yeah. We had interaction, and after we realized it wasn't the cross being mapped and it interacted, we had some other equipment out there with us, including Mary Lynn, which I was still testing at the time to make sure she was the real deal. So I was always testing her all the time. Sorry, Mary Lynn. Love you. So we asked it to come down and touch Mary Lynn's arm, and we didn't tell her. And she's standing out there. She goes, "It's touching my arm," and we're getting it touching her arm. We watched. We watched it come off the cross.
That arm come down.
Yeah, and so then we start talking, and she says, "Well, the spirits are saying that they're forgotten," and that's been one of the saddest things I've always thought about since then. Well, we're forgotten. And
well, I do have to say, I saw some footage of an SLS cam some years ago of a spirit in a bathtub, a house that, was just there for tours, a haunted house. And it seemed to be doing something, well, say naughty with a stick arm.
I've seen a video like that.
They exist. They exist. Linda Martin says Scott's SLS showed me something baffling when I used it. So she's
thank you, Linda. She's the one that
these camps.
won the auction for Brandon.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
that's right. That's right. She was in
Yep,
it.
thank you.
It was wonderful.
That's really cool.
Yep.
Dark 30
Yes.
Paranormal says I'm trying to adapt a GoPro to my SLS, and then asked, help me with that, Scott.
I was gonna say, call me,
Yeah.
James.
The dark 30. So
Now, Linda goes on to say, whole room of items, and it showed me something in a bundle of sage. Nothing else except the sage
on the SLS.
Wow.
on the SLS, I'm assuming.
Wow.
So, like I said, we've, it will pick up false positives, but that's, the part of the investigator. That's just another device you use. In
Validation.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to just use that as your only piece, obviously. That's why we get so much.
She mentions that she wonders whether the sage had a spirit, and that's a very shamanistic thing to
It's a-
say.
Yeah, I think Kim and I were like, wait a minute, what?
Drawn with an
Yeah.
intention and moving of spirits of plants to things that you might keep in your home, is a very shaman way of doing things. So maybe, Linda, maybe it does have a
depends
spirit,
on
and that
your-
was made with love.
Your
I was gonna
intention.
say, yeah. And what your sage is? Is it a long strip of sage? Is it a sage bundle?
Who
What
grew it?
exactly?
I guess that would be my question.
That's a good question too. Who grew it? Where is it from?
Where did
Yeah.
it come from?
Hmm.
So I know it's super interesting, and people can reach out to you to get those. So that's really cool. I think we had a few more pictures. Let me see if I can bring those up and
Oh.
share them with everyone.
Yeah, other equipment too.
What picture was it?
Might have
This
been
is the Bullock Hotel.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, she's
I love that place.
So let me just do a little.
I have to go in there all the time and say hi to the ladies. They always like to touch my hair when I'm playing the
oh,
slot machines. They touch it if they like you. They'll go like this.
oh, that's so wild. I got my
They'll
hair
feel
touched.
it. Yeah.
I love it. I don't like it, but
Yeah.
yeah. It's,
So I
it's
say
the
hello.
thing
Oh, you
thing
like
too. Yeah. Boy, man.
You're gonna like it.
Only on your
Yeah,
show.
it's gonna happen. Just let it
Show.
happen.
We can do whatever we want. It's our
Well,
show.
like, do that.
That's right.
Oh my god.
All right. Let's
Here we
see if I can bring this up.
I
There
love
we
the little
go.
hands down. Yeah. No, like
I
that.
didn't
So-
know how to show. We were
Tell us
downstairs.
what's going on here.
Okay, so I didn't know. I had my camera with me on my phone. So whenever I feel a spirit come up next to me for my own validation, I start snapping pictures.
Mhm.
And I'm looking into what's downstairs is a big old bar, and that's the mirror. I'm standing looking in the mirror of the bar, and I
Okay.
start snapping because I know there's something on my side. I know she came up on me, so I start snapping the pictures really quick. 1, 2, 3, like you're supposed to.
Yeah.
And this is it. So
That's really wild.
All right. And there's a couple of photos here kind of from
Yeah.
the same
Yep.
scenario.
They were
So-
touching your hair at that point,
Now
right?
it looks a little more clear here to me. It
is that there's
looks
yeah,
like something's
so-
kind of forming on
Yep,
your
yep.
left-hand side.
So the first one was kind of blurry, like it was going by me or it was doing something, trying to manifest the energy. This one, I'm more clear, but you see that picture next to me.
Wow.
And then the last
Yeah,
one.
we've
There
learned
she is.
early on to
It
take.
did
This is the one.
manifest a little. I'm sorry, Scott. What?
Oh, I was just saying, we learned, I don't remember where we got it, I'm sure off of TV or something, to always take pictures in at least bursts of 3 in the same spot.
Holding
So
still.
you have like a baseline, so to speak, or you can take more, just because you might catch something that it looks like this picture, but if you take it 3, 4, 5 times, it's going to be the same thing. So there might be something
Yeah,
there.
we've debunked a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
doing stuff
yeah.
like
So
that.
just take a burst
Yeah,
of
that's a
pictures.
good
Yeah.
method. And it does seem to make sense. To me, it looks like in the middle of that, there's a face like where it's lighter and it's kind of
Where the
surrounded.
purple is. Yeah.
Yeah,
She's-
with the
she's
purple
kinda
is where it's kind of
looking
surrounded by
down,
a
yeah.
smoke,
They have
but
a
a face
hat
kind
on.
of pops through. or something.
Yeah, so now where we're at, I can tell you, we had a flu epidemic in Deadwood, and downstairs they didn't have anywhere to put all the bodies, so it was a temporary morgue.
Oh.
And she showed up. So I don't know the correlation, but she was with us there tonight, that night anyway. So
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That's really wild. It's so cool.
her, I think her's wearing a hat. I think she's in funeral wear, to be honest with you.
Close. Oh, geez. It's,
What I think is best is kind of the evolution. Like, you start, here's your 1, 2, 3, right?
Yeah,
You see
that's on our
something
Facebook.
there, and you can kind of see an eye or something going on here.
I mean,
But
these are
then
quick.
It's
As
stronger.
soon as I can push that button and they come through, that's how quick it is on my phone. Boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. So that's
And
how
then
fast it
There's
happened.
a face right there, and
so, what did you feel, Kim, when you were in the mirror and you needed to take that picture right at that moment?
I didn't see her. I felt the tingling sensation of her coming up on me and the coolness,
Mhm.
but it's almost like the electricity. And then it's hard for me to explain the feminine versus the male feeling. I
Yeah.
don't know how to explain that, but you just know.
Don't either. You do.
Yep. And so then I knew she was coming up on me, but that's as far as I go. Sometimes it's so weird. Sometimes I can visually see them. Sometimes I can clairaudient hear them. Other times it's more like more than most. It's more empathic, like more sensing it. So I
Yes.
need that. That's probably what I've developed the most out of all my gifts is the
Clear
feeling.
sentient. The label is.
Yeah. So when that happens, that's what I try to do because I know they're there. And so if I can prove it to everybody, and all I had was my phone at the time, because everybody else was walking around in other locations.
Yeah.
They weren't there. So
no, I think there's a few more pictures after this. Is this the same location that we're gonna look
yep,
at now?
different night.
Is it the one in the hotel?
Yep.
Okay,
Or
this
the-
is an elevator, right? And I think you said you were
Yep.
photographing your reflection in the copper
Yep.
wall of the elevator. So what we're looking at is a reflection, and I
Right,
think you
like the
mentioned
door, I
something.
think.
Yep.
You're right,
So that
Tom.
night, every time it storms in Deadwood, it gets really active. And you are in a limestone mining town. So there's something there with all that.
Most
So
definitely.
yeah, and so the elevator didn't want to work. The power came back on. The elevator was still being glitchy, but it started opening me shut, didn't want me on the elevator. And I knew that was different from the power thing. It's like, you don't want me on this elevator. So I hit the button again. I get on the elevator does it again, and then opens wide up, and I feel a man get on the elevator. So I get out my phone and start taking pictures.
Yep. Wow.
Okay, so what are we looking at here?
So look at my feet. They're together, right?
Mhm.
And it's really kind of, this is scratchy because that's the copper scratched up, smeared up elevator wall that I'm taking the picture at.
Right,
Because
sure.
it has
It's got
reflection.
fingerprints and
Yeah.
things on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see nothing. It's normal, right? I guess there's kind of a secondary picture.
There is a
Me?
little bit.
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
little bit. It looks like there's a shadow, like on your right side
Yeah.
I knew
of
somebody
the screen.
got on the elevator with me, a man, but I didn't know where he was standing. I didn't really feel him where he was at. So maybe he was there and he moved behind me. Maybe that was him moving because I know I saw him in this one picture. You'll see him clearly.
Well, we were looking at these earlier, and I do want to note the shadow, right? So you see
Yep, I do see
your
it now.
shadow, and that does look kind of natural.
Yeah,
I think in a later picture it disappears, but you haven't moved, and
right.
that's kind of weird
I
too.
think that was the phenomena that I noticed is I did not move, and it's 1, 2, 3 really quick. So I can understand maybe the reflection, snapping my camera, doing something to kind of change the photo a little bit.
Sure, and
You know,
it's
the
lighting in the
flashing light-
elevator, right?
Yeah,
But the light does look to kind of be on this side of you,
Right.
kind of on your right side.
yeah.
But maybe, it's conceivable. Physics says, all right, that created this kind of
Scott,
shadow.
debunk. Yeah.
Shadow.
We're doing it.
But
This is us
let's
too.
move on to the next picture. And now this one's with Wackadoodle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wackadoodle.
It's a word.
I love when he says that.
It's a good word. So there's no reason for it to have gone blurred because I
Yeah.
didn't move at all when I took these. I take
Your
a real
shirt
solid,
looks
elbows
different
are in.
in the
Yep.
middle here too. See this part here where it's a lighter color?
Yeah.
I want to go back, even with the blur, right? If we look in on your shirt,
My hand.
right,
It's like
there's
a
your
striped
hand
shirt.
there.
Yeah.
But in this one, like, wow, okay, it went blurry. And I guess it's your hand, but it's all stretched out.
Yeah.
Yep.
It looks so strange.
It is a weird picture.
It didn't move
But
quickly or anything, right?
that-
It's
It's like,
you're just
yeah.
boom, boom, boom.
Black over your face there. and then we get to the third one where it's clear again, and this one, like the
That's-
shadow, looks different. It doesn't look the same.
It's so
In fact, it's
bizarre.
gone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's not there. Like
Really
in the
bizarre.
first picture, there's a shadow of your leg back here going almost to your foot.
But it wasn't
Right?
hers.
Look at your feet.
Yep, yep. Again, I don't move. I try to take as steady
to
a
do it
picture
like
as I
this.
can because I want validation.
I taught her well.
You
You
know, I don't want people can debunk me all day long, but that doesn't
And,
make
and
it
is
feel
that a
good.
water in your hand?
It's a cocktail.
No way.
It was
No.
a ghost of a spirit.
yeah. Yeah, he
Yeah,
was probably
that's for
trying-
sure.
he was
We
probably
found the
trying to-
ghost.
Got the
He was
spirit.
after my drink.
There you
That's
go.
what it was.
Spirit. What kind of spirits?
That's
That's awesome.
excellent, and it's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I'm joking about the glass, but
Yeah.
it does. And this looks like something possibly with eyes. What did you
Oh.
get out of it?
I just felt a man coming on the elevator with me, so I started taking pictures. That's all I felt. And
Did you
I think I started talking to him because Seth Bullock is supposed to be one of the persons that haunt the hotel or watches over it. And so I just kind of treated it like it could be Seth because he's a good spirit there.
That's what I was just going to ask you. Did you feel if it was a little off, a little negative, or if it was a
No.
good?
Honestly, out of all the investigations, there's only been a handful that we've done that I've actually been like, I don't know about this. And when it gets out of my wheelhouse, like the one down in New Orleans or something, they do bring in people. And I suggest them bring in people because if I can't figure something out and I feel it ugly, you better bring somebody in. That's what I say.
Irene Takura from Japan. So
Yeah,
it must have been a good drink.
it's gone. I was going back to my
Excellent.
room.
Vodka is the spirit.
Vodka is the spirit. That's what I was saying. Spirits. Well, Corona Light is the spirit, right?
Greg says the second pick is Jimmy Jagged.
Yeah. Saw
That's
that.
a
Like,
good word,
We
too.
love you, Greg. We love you. Jimmy Jagged. Love it.
Hey, Greg.
Cigars, whiskey, jewelry, toys.
that's
Yeah.
Well, hey,
It's true.
Yeah.
gotta live.
Yep.
So this has been a blast,
it.
guys.
We have to have you
I
on
know.
again, please.
What,
Yeah.
what's next for you guys? Do you have any plans for another trip out in the
We
near
do.
future?
Yeah, like I said earlier, on March 20th, we're going to do Whispers Estate
That's
again
crazy.
in
It's layered.
Mitchell, Indiana. And then we are headed to Pickens, South Carolina for the Haunting at the Mill Paracon. That's Supernatural
Ring
Inc.
a bell.
and Raven Paranormal. Yep. And then we're going to come back for a while, a couple months, just kind of hang out, maybe get some stuff done at home. And then
Yeah.
June 8th, we're going to be at Trans Allegheny with our friends Dark 30.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
Notoriously haunted.
Yep.
There's the dark 30.
There's the Dark 30.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And then on the way back, we're going to hit Ashmore Estates.
Wow.
And then
We're going to do Trivet Clinic too.
Oh yeah,
with the
Trevette Clinic
Yep.
in North Carolina with Terry Marks and his wife Trisha. Yep, there you go, Terry.
there.
I just want to say if somebody wants us to go and investigate it and we can financially get there and they want answers, we'll do that. And if somebody needs help, we'll do that too. We don't try, we do this for our own learning more than anything and to share evidence. That's
Because you have a passion for it.
Data.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
just- yeah.
Yeah, that's why we're all here.
That's
Yep.
why we're
Especially
Yep.
on this level of paranormal,
Yeah.
you get out doing things and the people you meet, like
I love it.
it's not
Yeah.
about the money, it's about
Exactly.
the love, you just love it.
Yep, there's
You know,
nothing
wanna
like
know the answers.
I get it's kind of an adrenaline rush when you go to these these places that it's dark and it's like a haunted house all to yourself, and you're just you and your thoughts or
Each
your
place,
feelings, and
it's
just
so different.
it's
Every
just-
place
it's
is
a lot
so
of fun.
different.
I think we need to now invest in a what did I call it? The rolling ghost lab. We need to invest in R&D, and we really need to go. We need to go with them.
Come
Yeah.
on. I love that.
Oh, we love that. Oh my gosh. Anne's calling you a sister as well. And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I've been telling you that for a while. I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, sister.
Yeah, and I guess I kind of forgot about in October we're going to go to
Yeah.
the McIntyre
We're going to do that one.
Villa in Atchison, Kansas.
Yeah.
We're going to do a private investigation of that, and then the next night is the
Jennifer Lee.
Jennifer Lee and Mary Barrett's public event. So we're going to be part of that too.
Yeah. So Yeah.
Yes.
Scooby Van.
The Scoopy fan.
That's right.
The mystery machine,
She
right?
built. Kim showed me the RV before she was going, and I'm like, oh my god, it's like Breaking Bad in the rolling meth lab, right? I said, I'm gonna go.
Not that bad.
I said, I'm gonna do this. Okay, so I'm like, I'm typing it right. I'm like, okay, so I'm going to take a shower. I'll be right back. And in the shower, the whole time, I'm like trying to figure out a nice name for this, the RV. I'm like, what did I say? I had all kinds of names for it. It was like so funny. The spooky something or other, or I don't know, the
I
ghost.
got in your head for rent free.
Well,
brushing my hair, and I'm like, yeah, it was like the
what's
ghosty
funny
Dan.
is, what's funny is the make of the RV is a Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
Yep.
Of course it is.
Yep.
I think I've seen Bigfoot once before.
Ooh,
Really?
Would you please do
That's
tell
for
me?
another day. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, you got to come back then.
You
We're going to
Okay.
get into the cryptids. Get
Yes.
to that thing.
are always welcome. My
We,
God.
we love talking about cryptids. I personally, we haven't seen a lot of them,
Yeah.
but at this stage,
Who
I,
knows?
I'm open to it. I know Kristen's open to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
I didn't know I'd be this open minded 3 years ago.
I mean,
It's
there's
just so funny. How balls.
Really,
Yeah.
things that happen, and like it's funny you mentioned that something in your face, yelling, and
I've had that happen.
we've had
It's
these
freaking scary as
things,
shit.
and we've had recorders going, and I didn't go on the recorder, and I won't go into all that, but it's like it's so crazy, but we jumped up in the air, and how the
You
hell
know
did
it's real.
physics out the window?
Yeah, that's
just
what we were
out the
saying
window.
earlier. It's just
So-
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
There is things that we don't have an explanation for everything, but that's the fun of it. That's the love. This has been wonderful.
Yes.
Thank
You
Thank
guys
God.
are great.
Thank
Stick
you.
around.
Love all you
We're gonna-
guys. I know half of these people we chat always on while you guys are doing your podcast, visiting back and forth. It's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a wonderful audience, wonderful listeners.
We do, and thanks to all our listeners out there. In fact, I'm just going to wrap things up right now and say we will see you guys. Actually, we're off on Saturday. We're not.
No.
We don't have a show, Bigfoot and the Bunny, this week,
Yeah.
but we'll be back next Thursday. And please stay tuned and subscribe to wherever you're watching us now, and
We do that.
click the notifications if possible.
Please
You guys are awesome.
hang on real quick, and we'll be right with you. And
Making another one for the show.
I know it's awesome.
Great
Remember to
comments out
smile.
there.
Yeah.
Dark 30.
It's nice.
Bye. Thank you.
Everybody.